If you would have told my past self about all of the things that I'm juggling these days, I think she would actually faint. Seriously, I used to be so bad at managing my time. I was constantly overwhelmed, never felt like I was getting anything done, and always had this looming sense of anxiety that I should be doing things, but I was still procrastinating. But things have changed, and today I'm going to share with you how I managed to work a part-time job while doing a master's degree, while being a content creator, while still working out, enjoying time with friends, enjoying time by myself. And I actually managed to do all of that without losing my mind and having to sit crying on the floor because I'm too overwhelmed to function. So these are the habits that have completely transformed the way that I get stuff done. Just get started. The hardest part of getting something done is starting. We oftentimes dread starting to work, sitting down at our desk, getting stuff done, and as a result, we procrastinate, we avoid doing that first step. But the truth is, once that first hurdle is crossed, the next steps are so easy. We just need to get over that initial resistance. Oftentimes, we are the ones that hold ourselves back from being productive, from getting stuff done, because we avoid certain things. We dread having to write an email to a rude coworker, or we dread having to deal with taxes. But the thing is, by avoiding those tasks, we're actually just making them worse, and we are also causing a lot of anxiety for ourselves. When we're just sitting there dreading doing something, first of all, nothing gets done, and our sense of dread and anxiety just increases. So the best thing you can do for your own peace, but also for the sake of productivity, is to just sit down and figure it out. Things often seem more difficult than they are. And once you're trying to figure things out, even if it's not a nice task, the feeling of dread decreases and you'll most likely manage to do whatever you're trying to do. Once you begin, momentum takes over and everything just gets so much easier. I really learned to not wait for the perfect moment, but to just start now. Your motivation doesn't need to suddenly strike. The clock doesn't need to be at an even number for you to be able to start. You can just start right now. If you're enjoying this video, make sure to subscribe and also follow me on my Instagram and my TikTok. Multitasking might sound efficient, but actually it is the opposite. I feel like this is really old advice that you should multitask, and now a lot of studies have shown that multitasking actually doesn't work as good. Our brains aren't made to handle multiple complex tasks at the same time with the same efficiency. So what happens oftentimes is you try to multitask and you end up doing a bad job at 5 different things instead of doing a good job at one thing. To help with this, I like to use Pomodoro. It's a 25-minute timer, then you get a 5-minute break. Within those 25 minutes, you are only working on one task, and it works wonders. It also works really well when you're not motivated. 25 minutes is not a lot of time if you think about it, and tasks really get done so much easier when you're just focusing on one thing. You can always increase these intervals. Oftentimes when I study, I will do 50 minutes and 10 minutes. But Pomodoro is really the way to go if you're trying to focus on one thing and also get things done that you just don't feel like doing. You can also take this idea of not multitasking further. I usually have 2 types of work that I get done from home. One is YouTube and social media stuff, like editing, answering emails, all of that. And the second one is studying. And I found that if I dedicate one entire day to YouTube stuff and then another day to studying, it actually works better than if I study and work on YouTube on one day and do the same thing on the second day. Changing between the 2 things makes me really unconcentrated, and it takes me a while to adapt. So for me, dedicating an entire day to one area or one type of task really works well. There is an exception to the no multitasking rule, and that is if you're doing something that doesn't require brain power, you can multitask. For instance, if I cook dinner, I might watch TV at the same time, or if I'm folding laundry, I might just listen to a book summary from short form. The key here is to really combine something that you can do mindlessly with something that actually requires to engage your brain, so you're not splitting your focus into 2 complex tasks. Set micro deadlines. This has really changed my productivity. A big project can feel really overwhelming, and oftentimes you might not even know where to start. Like, yeah, sure, you want to work on that thing today, but what are you gonna do today? You don't even know where to start. So you need to break down big tasks into smaller ones and then set deadlines for those smaller ones. That way you can start tackling things and get stuff done weeks and months in advance without feeling overwhelmed. And when the deadline for the big thing comes along, you will already be done. This also works for very short amounts of time. If you need to get something done by the end of the day, why not just set a deadline for in 1 hour? If you give yourself the entire day, you might actually need the entire day. But you will find that if you give yourself 1 hour or 2 hours to do the same task, you might actually get it done in those 1 or 2 hours. And that leaves the rest of the day free for you to do whatever you want. Oftentimes our brain needs a little extra motivation and we need to create that sense of urgency. You for sure have noticed that you are way more productive when there's a sense of urgency. You have a deadline coming up, you need to submit an assignment, that type of thing. So if there's no real sense of urgency, you can just create one by setting micro deadlines. Use focus mode. We do not need distractions. I think it's very clear that distractions are the number one thing that make us be way less productive when we're already getting stuff done, when we're already trying to get into a flow. But then a notification pops up, you see a TikTok, someone sent you an email. Eliminate those distractions. Have time set aside where you can answer emails or call back people. When you're actually trying to get productive work done, your phone needs to be on Do Not Disturb. You need to turn on focus mode. Turn it on your laptop as well. Do not allow those email pop-ups or pop-ups from any other apps unless they are necessary. Even better, you can set your phone to activate focus mode automatically at certain times of the day. That way you don't even have to remember to turn it on. All you need to do is sit at your desk and get things done. Study, work, get through your to-do list. That's all. Not me literally getting a notification. Like right now. I love planning my week. I love having at least a rough overview of the things that I need to do throughout the week. And I will always schedule things into my calendar so I can actually see how long something takes. I can see when I have a break. I will usually also schedule things keeping in mind that things might take a little bit longer. But this is not the habit that I want to talk about. The habit is that I always start with my goals for the week. Before I even schedule in anything, I write down a couple of goals for that week. For instance, a goal could be uploading a YouTube video. Now, in order to reach that goal, I need to do multiple things. I need to think of an idea, I need to write that video, I need to film it, I need to edit it, I need to create a thumbnail and to upload the video. Those are multiple different tasks that I will then actually schedule into my calendar. So what I've done is I've created multiple deadlines for myself, but I've also created my schedule the reverse way. I start with the goal and base the things that I need to do throughout the week on that. That way I can actually prioritize the things that will lead me to that goal. I won't spend time doing random things that will not help me get anywhere close to that goal, and I have more time for doing the things that actually matter. You need to know your goal, you need to know where you need to end up, so that you don't end up wasting time on things that do not matter at all. Also, what I think is a really good point is when I'm scheduling my week, I take everything by priorities. Of course, work needs to get scheduled first, as well as any university things. But then next up is YouTube, and that gets scheduled next. I also really care about my health, so I will schedule my gym sessions next. Based on how much time I have left over, I can schedule things like socializing and me time, and any random activities that I want to do throughout the week, but that are not necessarily at the top of my priority list. That way, again, I ensure that my time goes to the things that actually matter. You are now ready to become the most productive version of yourself, so go get started. I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye!